It's outside.
Okay. Your hearing is better than mine, so I don't know. Boker Tov. Boker Tov. Today's daf is daf Chof Aleph in Sota. We learned from Fushlim for Kiva ben Chai Rachel. We're at the seventh line, I guess it is, on Chof Aleph. Chof Aleph. The Mishnah said, not according to Rav Shapiro, but according to the others, Yesh Chus Tola, that if a woman drinks, as we said, according to Rav Shimon and Rav Akiva, that the mincha is brought first. So as soon as she drinks, because the mincha is already brought, it'll affect her and kill her immediately. However, according to the opinion of Rav Akiva and others, if she has some zchuyot, some merits, she will deteriorate. We said she'll start deteriorating, but she may live for 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years. That was the opinion. What kind of schus does she have? What schus were you talking about? You name schus to Torah. She learned Torah. We know more in Babasra that Gadol mitzvah mitzvah. When you have an obligation to do something and you perform, since the obligation is upon you, there's more pressure, and your schar is greater than the person who doesn't have that obligation. Sometimes you might say, well, I didn't even have the obligation to do it. I did it on my own free will. Yes, but the reward is greater for a person who's mitzvah vosa. So the Gemara will say later on, yeah, but she still has the schus of Torah, even if it's not as great as that of a man. But at this point, the Gemara says, if it's a schus of Torah, she's not a mitzvah vosa. If we'll talk about if she learns Torah or not. We already explained that really you shouldn't teach your daughter Torah according to the first opinion, according to Rabbi Shiur in the Mishnah. But we're assuming now it means learning Torah, and most women did not learn Torah. Today, maybe they'd have the schus of Torah too, but most women in those days did not learn Torah. So what's schus of Torah? She has no schar. And even if she did, even if she learned Torah, her schar is not so great. So that's going to prevent her from dying. That's the Gemara's question. The Gemara will answer and say, we'll see what the Gemara says later on, but that's the Gemara asking at this point. So is it the schus of Torah? Schus is not so great. El schus to mitzvah. Maybe it's the schus of doing mitzvahs that she has. Schus to mitzvah, mi magna kol hai. Does it protect her that much that it's going to prevent her death? She's doomed to death, and it's going to prevent her death or delay her death. Not prevent it, but delay her death. Is the schus that great? Is it mi magna kol hai? Is the schus of a mitzvah going to protect her that much? Delay it that much? By the time we learn famous long drasha, as Zudarsha of Nachman Yossi darshan this. The pasuk says in Mishlei, Kiner mitzvah, the Torah or. Mitzvah is like a lamp, like a light, a candle. The Torah or, and the Torah is like a permanent light. What do we mean that? Torah kasav is a mitzvah, but there, that's a Torah. Why did the pasuk compare a mitzvah to a lamp and a Torah to a permanent light? As a mitzvah, a lamp only protects you while it's burning, right? So it burns out only for a short time. The mitzvah only protect you for a short time. So the gist of what we're trying to say is that, Torah, she's not mitzvah. Mitzvah, is it going to protect them much? It's very temporary. Vesa Torah, or Torah is or ma or make it la'olam, just like or protects permanently la'olam. Af Torah megina la'olam, Torah protects him. But Omer, the other pasuk there says, this is the pasuk right before that. V'salechecha tanchoscha. We said this in the and we'll make the siyum, right? When you walk, it will lead you. When you die, it'll guard you. And when you arise afterwards, it will converse with you. In this world, it'll lead you. When you die, it'll guard you. What? So what does that mean? What is all? This is all part of Rav Nachman Yossi's Roshki, Ner Mitzvah or, and pasuk said the Torah or, and the pasuk says there are also the Softanos. What does that mean? Mashal, a lot of it gives an example with a person, a parable of the person. The person was walking in the middle of the night. It was pitch dark. And he's afraid of the things that can happen at night. Number one, from the thorns, the pits, and the thistles. In other words, if it's pitch dark, he might fall into a pit. He might get scratched by the thorns or damaged by thorns and thistles. He's also afraid of wild animals, and from the highwaymen who bother you at those hours. That's usually when they hang out. He doesn't even know where he's walking. There were no signs, no lights, etc. It's pitch dark. He doesn't know if he's on the right road. Or if he gets a torch, somebody has like a light, a lamp or a light, torch. So number one, he's saved from those things. Now he can see where he's going. He's not going to fall into the pit. He's not going to, scratch himself or hurt himself on the thorns. But listen, but there's still wild animals and wild robbers out on the street. And he still doesn't know if he's on the right road. Once it's light outside, that's the tendency of the wild animals and the robbers is that they don't work so much during the day. So he's nitzel and he's safe from those. But he still doesn't know which road he's on. Once he reaches a crossroads, now he knows which direction he is. Now he knows where he is. He's safe from all of them. That's the example, the metaphor. So that's what we're saying here too, that in this world he has so much. When he dies, so much, and and Lolam Haba, he'll have more. He'll be safe from everything. What do we mean by that? The Gemara didn't really explain yet. Didn't give yet the nimshal. Davar acher. Another explanation. Aveira machava mitzvah machava ma'or. The aveira will obliterate. It will erase the mitzvah. Now, it doesn't mean only the schar for the mitzvah. Rashi will say later on that aveira is machava the mitzvah. It doesn't mean that it won't protect you from yisurin. It protects a little bit for a while, but from getting schar for the mitzvah. If you do an aveira and you do a mitzvah, so the schar for the mitzvah will be wiped out. It's like, you get a merit and a demerit, so the demerit cancels out the merit. But it doesn't mean that it won't protect you. It will protect you somewhat, as we'll see. It doesn't knock out the Torah. My pasuk says in Shiur, all the water in the world cannot erase the love, and the love is Torah, as he says, love of the Torah. Zu Torah, Rashi says, the siv haviyani al beis hayayin, v'diglo alai ava. Yayin is a sober. He brings me into his Torah. That's the ava. So all the bad in the world, even a flood, cannot erase the Torah. So he means to say, so this is the kasha. He seems to say this. We're asking a kasha, what schus does a woman have? Torah, she's not mitzvah v'osa. We'll give an answer on that too. But at this point, he says, not mitzvah v'osa. Mitzvahs doesn't protect that much. It's only a little bit, right? As it says, aveira is machaba the mitzvah, knocks out the mitzvah. So what does the mitzvah help? Rav Yosef says, no, it does help a little bit. Mitzvah, a mitzvah, while you're doing the mitzvah, protects you and rescues you, protects you from a punishment, from Yisurim, right? Protects you from that, and it rescues you from Yetzer Hara, from doing bad things that you shouldn't want to do sin. So it protects and it rescues you from in the future from. That's what a mitzvah does. So it does. When you're not doing the mitzvah, it does protect you from Yisurim, but it's not going to rescue you from your Yetzer Hara. Once you stop doing a mitzvah, so you still can have a Yetzer Hara to do averis, and it's not going to rescue from that, but it will protect you from punishment. Torah, whether you're learning it now, whether you don't learn it or you're not learning it anymore, at this point, that's what Gemara says. It also protects you and protects you from Yisurin and saves you from the Yetzer Hara. So that's the first answer that Rabbi Yosef says. You want to understand something, what does the mitzvah do? Mitzvah doesn't do much l'chor, right? The aveira knocks out the mitzvah. The answer is no. It knocks it out in terms of getting schar. You won't get schar from the mitzvah, but it will protect you while you're doing it. When you're not doing the mitzvah, it'll still protect you from Yisurim. So the mitzvah does something. That's our answer now. We're trying to figure out, why does the mitzvahs that she did protect her and delay the punishment of the bitter water? The answer is that even when she's not doing the mitzvah anymore, now she's been a bad girl, it'll still protect her somewhat from the punishment. Maskul Rabba says, Rava, Elamata, understand, what are you saying? That Torah protects you even when you don't learn anymore? Says Torah, whether you're learning it, whether you're not learning it, protects you and rescues you. If that's the case, Elamata, Dog Bachisovo, who pursued David, and they thought they could defeat him. They were Greek Talmud, didn't they learn Torah at once upon a time? Even if they stop learning now, you're saying that the Torah always protects you, even if you stop learning. Why didn't it protect them from doing Averis and from sinning against David? El Amarava, we're going to change it slightly. Torah, when you're learning it, both protects you from punishment and rescues you from the Yetzer Hara, from the will to do bad. Being a delasik, when you're not learning it anymore, I'm going to make it protects you from Yisurim, but it won't save you from your Yetzer Hara. So even the Torah, if you stop learning Torah, your Yetzer Hara will arise again. Mitzvah, but a mitzvah, whether while you're doing it or when you're not doing it anymore, a good marker protects you from Yisurim, but it won't rescue from Yetzer Hara. So again, the answer still basically is the same, except that we adjusted it slightly for the Torah. The Torah, if you're not learning it anymore, it'll still protect you, but it won't save you from the Yetzer Hara. Whereas the mitzvahs that she did, whether she did it now or she's not doing it, did it before, did it now, if she's not doing it anymore, will still protect her from Yisurim. And that's what we mean over here. That's why her punishment is delayed when she drinks the water.
I don't understand. Punishment is delayed, but ultimately she's going to die?
Yeah, she's going to die from the water because she committed adultery. She committed adultery. Oh, the delay is that she has 3 more years, up to 3 more years to live, to enjoy life. As we said yesterday, during that time, if the husband can't stay with her, right? Because we know, since she's deteriorating, we know she's committed adultery. But if he divorced her and she married somebody else, some other guy says, I don't mind marrying a slut like this, so maybe, she could still live. It'll protect somewhat. People who are sick, right? People who are sick, even people who are terminal, they don't want to die. They'd like to live as long as they can. Usually that's the case, unless it's,
But if she continues to do whatever we're talking, however
Yeah.
you define it,
Yeah.
why does she die?
Because she dies because she was punished for the adultery. She was punished for the
So
adultery.
even though after 3 years, she's still doing whatever good.
Not
thing
after
she
3
was
years.
doing.
She'll live. She'll delay it up to 3 years, but she's going to die. And we know she's going to die because she starts deteriorating right away.
So
According to Rav Shapiro,
doing the mitzvah is going to help her out.
it's not going to help. They're not going to protect her from death, right? We all do mitzvahs. It's not going to protect us forever, but everybody's going to eventually die. In this case, she's going to die because of the adultery. Just like if there was Adam and Asra, right? Adam and Asra don't commit adultery, and she commits adultery, right? But she did a lot of mitzvahs. She gave stucca. She worked at the gemach and all this other kind of stuff, right? But she's going to die. They're going to kill her because that's the rule, right? It's like you say, you might do, all these things we talk about when people are known sinners for whatever they did, right? So you say, hey, maybe he did tshuva. Of course he did tshuva, but he's going to be punished for what he did. Everybody's got to pay the piper, as they say. Ravina Amar, Lolam Schus Torah. Lolam Schus Torah. Ravina goes back to the original reason. What do we say? We start by saying, what schus does she have? Torah, she's not mitzvah va'osa, right? And mitzvahs doesn't help that much. The answer is it does help a little bit. It does protect you from the Yisurin, even though it doesn't. When she stops doing the mitzvahs, it won't protect her from the Yetzer Hara. Ravina Amar, Olam schus Torah. No, it is the schus of Torah. I say she's not mitzvah va'osa. She's not commanded to do the mitzvahs. But for the reward, the makron mastan ben, doesn't she teach her children? She takes them to school every day. She teaches them. She teaches them how to read and to learn the Chumash and Mishnah, and she teaches them, and she's responsible for them. And she waits up late at night for her husband to come back from the base medrash. In other words, she puts in an effort also. Even it's not the schar for learning Torah per se, but she teaches her Torah, she teaches her kids. Modami, she teaches her kids, and she supports her husband in his learning. In that sense, she's also going to get schar. So therefore, the women who go out to work so their husband can sit and learn, they get a schar for that too. That's just like Yisachar and Zvulun that we're going to talk about in a few minutes. It says, Milo Palgam Adai, won't they share with the husband's reward? So they also have schar for Torah. So when we say she has merits, it's not only the merits of mitzvahs, it's even the merits of Torah. My precious drachim. Let's go back to that parable. We said, a person is saved, like we said, a ner mitzvah Torah or. So the ner helps you temporarily, like the person on the road. Okay, helps him a little bit because he can see where he's going, right? Once the or comes out, then he's really safe from the animals and from robbers and things like that. But he goes on to say, fine. So we understand that part of the parable puts in with the light, the lamp versus Torah. Yeah, but what's the business about? Comes to the crossroads. What does that mean? Comes to the crossroads, then he knows where he's going. What does that have to do with our? Well, it doesn't seem to fit into the issue of the mitzvah or Torah, which is protecting her. What's the idea of precious drachim? I'm Rav Chisda. So 3 answers. Zeh, or at least 3. Zeh Talmud Chacham Yom Misa. Even a Talmud Chacham who learns Torah and does mitzvahs, but he doesn't know until his death whether he's going to hold out till the end. Rashi says 4 lines into the wide lines. In other words, when a person keeps his righteousness and his Torah until his very last day, that's it. That's what we say when they always give a drush and they say the Yom HaMisa is better than the day of birth. Why? Because in birth, you don't know if the guy, how it's going to turn out. But if a guy was a tzaddik his whole life and he died that way, you could say, listen, he lived a good life, right? He lasted this way, so he knows which direction he's going, lost a lover. Doesn't mean the day of death, but it means the Talmud Chacham learns Torah. Learning Torah should lead him to Yiras Chet. Rashi says, "Zocha v'Yiras Chet acher zocha Torah." Then, if after he learned Torah, he also is protected from. If he also reaches Yiras Chet, then he's safe from everything. Shator melamdas of divrei mitzvah v'divrei iser u'mashu tzarich lifrosh v'Yiras Chet mono melidaf achrav. The Torah teaches him what he's supposed to do, and the fear of sin keeps him from running after his Yetzer Hara. So that's what he means by the Prashas Dachim. Not just the day of death, but he reaches when he got to the point of Yiras Chet, he says, now the learning Torah has also led him to Yiras Chet, which is the ultimate, that's his ultimate goal. Even if he learned Torah and he had Yiras Chet, but was he matzliach in his Torah? Was he able to reach conclusions and learn Torah so that he could contend with his peers, with his colleagues? Rashi says again, about 6 lines down in the lines, then he say, right, Shachar says, Zachal Torah, Nitzal Miyetzer Hara, Umenachei, Vadain Eni Yodei, Beis Derech Mahalach. He's safe, he's learning Torah, and he's not doing Averis, and he has Yiras Chet. Or in Yisku, will he be able, even if he's he's a good man, he's righteous, he learns Torah, and he's afraid of Averis. But will he be successful? Will he have siyata d'shmaya that his words to be acceptable to his peers, to his friends? Lahoros kalacha, to paskin correctly, kamishpit. So yigil pashdachim klomer zachal lakach nitzim kom. Once he's reached that, then he's reached the peak of life. He has Torah, Yiras Chet, and he's also successful in his learning. The Brisa went on before, that Brisa of what was it, Menachem Reb Yossi, after he did the whole temple example, he says, Davar Acher, we say, Aveir Machaba Mitzvah and Machera, then Machaba Torah. What do you mean? Reb Yosef, Darshan Reb Nachman Yosef L'Haikra Kisinai. Reb Yosef darshan this pasuk like as if it came from Mount Sinai, this great drasha of the difference between a mitzvah and Torah. Vil Moli Darshua Dog Achisofel Hachi had Dog and Achisofel darshan it properly this way, like we explained that even Torah, while you learn it, it protects you and rescues you. But if you stop learning it, it will protect you, but it won't rescue you. Had Dog and Achitofel darshan it properly like this, they wouldn't have chased David. That's it. What happened? Dog and Achitofel was, listen, David apparently sinned. They apparently sinned with Bashev, with the whole story. So he apparently sinned, and they darshan if you commit some sort of adulterous sin, what does it say? V'shav me'acharecha, Hashem will turn away from you. So they figured, listen, David's gone. He's a goner. God's going to forgive God. He sinned. God's going to turn away from him. It's time for us to take over. They didn't know what Rabbi Menachem Reb Yossi darshan. Aveira can take away the schar for mitzvah, but it won't extinguish, it won't blot out or erase the Torah that he has learned. Right? That's what he said. That's the davar acher. Aveira machaba mitzvah, ve'aveira machaba Torah. The Torah shenemar mayim ram lo yuchlu. The Torah that he learned, and David was learning Torah. So even though he possibly had sinned, and we saw the Gemara says that that David sinned, he didn't really sin, but whatever he did, let's call it improper. But it won't knock out the Torah. So therefore, God will not turn away from David, and that was a mistake they made. My boz yavuzulo. Now the pasuk in Mishlei said, and not Mishlei, in Shiur says, Mayim rabam lo yuchlu lichbasav. We said before, great waters, floods and tornadoes or whatever, hurricanes cannot knock out the Avo, which is the Torah, right? And the pasuk goes on, in Yitin Ishas Kol Hom Beis, if a man would give all his assets, Boz Yavuzulo, he will still be condemned for that. What do we mean by that? Amar Ula, Lo Kishimon Achi Azariah, Lo Rabbi Yochanan ben Nasiya, not like Shimon Shimon was called the brother of Azariah. Why was he called the brother of Azariah? Because Azariah supported him. It was a Yisachar Zvulun deal where Azariah worked and did business and supported Shimon and shared equally with Shimon's schar for learning Torah. Rav Asher has a whole drasha on that. Yisachar Zvulun, do they each get half? How does that work? Or each get whole? Anyway, also like Rav Yochanan, who shared his schar with his brother because they were supported. Ella kehil v'shevna. In other words, those are good things. Those are good things. It's a good thing to have Yisachar Zvulun deal. People do that even today. It's a very common thing that people say, "Listen, I'm working. I'll support you, and I'll share in your Torah. We'll split it." That's okay. But here we're talking about a different case. Ella kehil v'shevna. Hillel Zaken had a brother Shevna. They were brothers. Hillel studied Torah all day in poverty. Shevna Avad Iska, and he went not business. They didn't have a deal up front. They didn't have a deal like Shimon Chayzar and Yochanan that said, "Okay, I'll work, I'll support you, and I'll share in your thing." No, Shevna made a fortune. Hillel learned in poverty. Shevna Avad Iska. Myself, Amalei, after Shevna says, "Listen, I've made a few million over here. Tanazov v'niflog. Let's come and split it. I'll give you now half of my wealth, and you'll give me half of your Torah." Didn't do it while he was learning the Torah. He didn't support him, as people are accustomed to when they're being supported. He didn't support him at all. After the fact, after Shevna paid the money, he says, "Okay, I'll give you half the money. You give me half of your Torah." Yatsa Baskal Ba'amr, no. Ishas Kolom Beso. You want to give me all the money? It's not worth anything. All the money in the world is not worth the Torah. So that's what he means to say, Lozi was low, it's condemned. That's not a good thing. If you want to do Yisachar Zvulun up front, that's fine. But after the fact, after I've learned Torah, somebody will come to Chaim Kanievsky, Zechron Baruch, and say, "Listen, you have all this Torah. I'll give you half my money now, and you give me half your Torah." No, that doesn't work. Omer Ben Azai. What did Ben Azai say in the Mishnah? After we said that the Kan Ben Azai, that we said that a person should teach his daughter Torah. Why? Because since according to our Mishnah's the merits can delay the effect of the water up to a year, 2 years, 3 years, 3 months, 9 months, different shitas, but even up to 3 years. Because of that, you should teach your daughter Torah. So chas v'chli, if she ever has to drink water, drink the mei marim, she'll know. She won't. I said, "Look, I survived even though I committed adultery." She won't say that. She'll know that sometimes there's a delayed penalty. That's exactly what it is. It's a delayed penalty. Maybe they'll be like kind of teach the Torah. So therefore, Ben Azai said a person should teach his Torah. Ben Azai chayval l'mas Torah. She'll know that sometimes it's chus Torah. That's what Ben Azai said. Rabbi Lezer said, "No, you teach your Torah. It's like teaching her promiscuity." Rabbi Shua went on to confirm that. Omer Ben Azai, we're at the top of Chafam Pes. Yeah.
Shouldn't exist.
Right. You shouldn't teach your Torah. He says, "Don't teach your Torah. You don't teach."
The whole issue of what was discussed was the Torah.
No. The Gemara first said, "What's the schus of Torah? Torah, she's not mitzvah osa." And even if she would learn Torah, but presumably they didn't learn Torah. But even if she would, she's not mitzvah osa. The Gemara's answer, besides the answer was no, mitzvahs will protect her somewhat. Right? They won't protect her from Yetzer Hara in the future, but it will. So one answer was it could be just the mitzvahs. The mitzvahs will delay her Yisurim. The other answer is it's the Torah that she teaches, that she sends her kids to school in the morning and she waits for her husband. She shares in that Torah. But when Azai said you should teach your daughter Torah, she should understand what's going on, and she should understand how the Sota works. Omer Ben Azai chayvan l'ilmas Torah. Rabbi Lezer said no. Torah, it's like teaching her. It's teaching her promiscuity. So it's more tiflas. How is Torah promiscuity? How if you teach your daughter Torah, you're teaching her promiscuity? Elaima ki'ilu lamdas, as if you taught her tiflas. It's as if you taught her tiflas. Why? Because it makes a person smart, and she'll understand how to cheat and do things and do things. It's sinna. It's going to make her smart. Teaching Torah makes people smart. Learning Torah makes people smart.
She should stay stupid.
I wouldn't call it stupid. It would say ignorant is a better word. say ignorant. Yeah, but that makes her smart. Now, again, in today's world, we have a different world today where the women are much more sophisticated, like we said. So they learn Torah and they're okay. But in those days when they were almost everybody in those days, 90% of the men were also illiterate. So teaching somebody who doesn't understand, and also they were young in those days. My mother used to tell me that they told her grandmother, was a little girl when she got married, at 10 or 11 or whatever, or 12. And, she would take the shaitel and play in the sandbox and put the sand in the shaitel. You have to understand what life was like there. We're not talking about, there was a different level of sophistication. They don't have the sophistication that people have today.
It's very negative.
Pardon?
It's very negative.
Negative what? About the past?
Somebody, so it's going to go out and do something bad.
Well, that's right. You got to be careful. You have to be careful. You have to be careful. In other words, it's like you wouldn't show certain things to children, even though you'd show that to them as adults. When they're more sophisticated and they're able to do it, if you take a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old and teach them some complicated case about the Pesach Pasuach Matzasik Staftes or whatever, it doesn't make sense. They're not capable of understanding it at a certain point. It depends how sophisticated they are and how advanced they are. So it's the same thing we're saying this over here. When we learned, when we were in yeshiva in those days, when we were all a little bit more innocent than kids the same age. Look at the innocence we have today. I mean, I don't want to get off on this, but when I was in 9th grade and I went to yeshiva, I had no idea what, homosexuality is, or what gay is, or what Pesach Pasuach is, and they were teaching us these things. Or Tiflis was. We didn't know what it was. Today, kids all know this kind of stuff. The same age kids know these kind of stuff. There's a different level, maybe sophistication is not the right word because it makes it sound good, but it's good and bad to everything. And, sometimes it's not, you teach Torah to the wrong person, it's not so good. So that's what we're saying. At that point, at least, teaching that was his opinion. Not everybody said. Banazi said, you should teach your Torah. She should know what's going on. So even in the Gemara, you see that, yeah, you should teach her the Torah. Well, it says, don't start with Torah, because if you teach them Torah, it's like teaching promiscuity. Torah is not promiscuity, but it makes them sharper and they'll try to fool things. He had a pasuk in Mishlei says, I am wisdom, meaning Torah, and I dwell in armor. What does that mean? In cunning and sharp, people trying to get around things. Once a person gets wise, he gets cunning, he gets sharp, and he'll do things in a underhanded manner and cheat and and hide what he's doing. Gets too smart. The Rabbanan who say that no, you should, like Banasai who said you should teach your daughter Torah. What does it do with that? Sounds like you learn Torah. That's you're learning how to be a cheat. No, where Torah is Mekoyim, if a person makes himself like impoverished, when he makes himself poor. Rashi says two things. One, he says that Shapiro said he doesn't do any work at all, but he becomes poor, like Hillel Zaken, who learned in ultimate poverty, real poverty. He had nothing, he had no food. If you make yourself like that, like we say, Zosa Torah Adam Kiyamas Ba'oel, when are you successful? If a person is willing to die for learning Torah, makes himself like dying for Torah, he puts himself, he impoverishes himself and makes his life difficult. That's when that's when Torah is successful. And isn't it so? The more a person has, the more wealth that he has, the less he's likely to learn Torah. He says another shot. Rashi goes on to say that that he makes himself like Marim, that he makes himself like so poor that he has to go getting from people, like as if like an ani goes around begging. Same thing over here. A person who's willing to learn, a person who learns from everybody. He makes himself like he's a poor person, like I don't have anything. Let me learn from you. Let me learn from you. Then you'll be successful. When you're willing to learn from everybody, then you'll be successful. So two ways to learn arma. Arma could be cunning, arm, or it could also mean naked, like you're poor, impoverished from wealth and impoverished from everything, impoverished from Torah, that you say, I got to learn Torah from everybody because I don't know myself. Pardon? Like embracious, right? Aramikol. The Nachash was Aramikol. Yeah, we had it before in this Masechet. Amar B'Yochanan. Torah is only successful where was it established to be successful? The person makes himself as if he's nothing. Shneamar, ha'chochma me'ayin timsa. Chachma, where will it come from? Me'ayin, from nothing. Chachma will come when a person when a person is modest and realizes that he knows very little and acts as if he knows very little, then he'll be successful. But if a person thinks he knows everything, then he won't learn. Rabbi Shua said, Isha, a woman like a kav v'tiflus. What does that mean? She wants a kav and tiflus? What does that mean? It's not clear. A woman would rather have a kav of less wealth, meaning less food, a small amount of food, v'tiflus, but have promiscuity. V'tiflus imo, because it says, Isha kav v'tiflus. She wants a kav and tiflus. What is a kav v'tiflus? The answer is she'd rather have less food, meaning less support, and have promiscuity, meaning have bia with her husband, have a physical relationship with her husband, have intimacy. Mitishas kavan precious, rather than have a lot of food, meaning a lot of wealth and a large allowance and a large budget. They say precious, but be abstinent and not have a intimacy. That's what women would like the intimacy. Intimacy is more important to women. This is what Rav Shua said, more than wealth. Yomi, he used to say, Chassid Shota, all these people that he mentioned at the end, the Chassid Shota and the Russia Arum, like the cunning Russia and the Isha Prusha, and a woman. Prusha, we'll see, does not mean a parish like a fine tzaddik with tzaddikas. Umakas Prusha, these people are without a world, or they destroy the world. The famous case of Chassid Shota that we have, the people of Ramakagom, the Katava Issa Benara, a woman's drowning in the river. This man could save her. I can't look at women. Let her down. I can't look at women, but I can't go save her. I can't not look at woman. How can I go save her? He lets her die. That's a chassid who's he thinks he's a chassid, but he's really a shot. What is a cunning, evil person? You're over on a pasuk. Pasuk says you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to make your arguments to the judge before your opposing litigant has shown up, because once the judge hears your view first, he's not going to be as inclined to listen to the other one. He can't get, once they're in there, he can't just the pasuk of Sisha, which simply means that you're not supposed to God's name in vain. That's also referring to this case of a judge. You're not have to do that. So that's a Russia Arum who tries to tell the judge, get the judge on his side before the case begins.
Like lawyers who say something to the jury.
Yeah.
And the judge says, strike that.
Right. Well, you know what? What does the Gemara call, or what is the Hebrew word for a lawyer? Orech din. He arranges the judge, you know what I mean? He arranges it, that's what they call him, right? Hechidam Russia Arum. Amr B'Yochanan Zamatin B'Avdain Kam Shev B'Avdain Chara. Rav Habu Amr Zanosing. The case of Russia. Here's the rule. The rule is that an ani is allowed to get leket shekun peya and get poor. He's allowed to take from the tamchui of the city, and he's allowed to take leket shekun peya, all the poor things, the things that are assigned for the poor. But what is a poor person if he has less than $200? Okay, dinners. Let's say he has $200, then he can't get anything. But if he has 199, then he could take as much, he could take it all. Because starting off the 199, he could take the whole field, the whole pay or whatever. So a guy says, listen, here's an ani about to come. I know he's got 199. I'll give him $1. I'll give him $1. I gave him $1. Now, my buddy, my friend, and my cousin, who's really poor, he'll get the whole field because this guy is not an ani anymore. I just took you out of the classification of ani. So that's also a Russia Arum. Was that no saying dinner? He gives one dinner to make this guy go from 199 to $200. Lahashlam Masayim Zuz to complete. Now he's got 200 Zuz. He's not, but it's not Mishashlam Masayim Zuz. The guy's got 200. But he told he's not taking a pay anymore. Maiserani, he's not taking any of that stuff. He's not money. Hayel Masayim Chasatin. If he had 200 less at the end, he had 199. I feel Elif says no slow kach. You give him $1,000 at one time. He's entitled. He's allowed to get Maiserani because he's poor. Right now he's poor. Okay, after I give it to him, he won't be poor anymore. All right, then he's allowed to take he's allowed to take the Maiserani, etc., like a chicken pan. Ravasi Amar Rabbi Yochanan, what is the case of a Rosh Hashanah? here's the deal. If a person, let's say there's a man dies and leaves boys and girls. The boys get the Yerusha. If there's a good Yerusha, they get the Yerusha, and they have to support the girls, right? That's part of the Ksubas. The Ksubas been different, that they have to support the girls. Let's say there's very little. It's a very small estate. There's not enough for the boys to take it, and the girls get get support. So then the rule is that the girls get the estate, and the boys have to go begging. Okay, but let's say before they came to court, before they probated the estate, the boys went and sold the field because technically they owned it. As soon as the father dies, the second that he dies, they own the field. So Rabbi Yochanan says that's a rasha if they sold it. Zeh Meisi Eitzah, to give advice, limkum nechasmot, when there was a small amount, when the assets were small, when the estate was small, to sell it off now. Damar B'asim Rabbi Yochanan. Yisomim shekadmu machrum nechasmot and masha machrum machru. If Yisomim went ahead and sold it before they came to court, before they did the probate, it's what's done is done. It's not the right thing to do, but if they did it. So that's also a Rosh Hashanah who does that. What's done is done because technically they owned it. The rabbi said that, no, give it to the girls and you go begging. But if they sold it before they came to court, they're Rishon, but it's done. Says, we'll see. The Tanya, the man says, listen, after I die, I want him to go to you. I want my Nechasim to go to you. It's like a will. And after you die, I want it to go to Yankel. After you, I want it to go to Yankel. Now, so that's what you're supposed to do. After you die, it's supposed to go to Yankel. It's not a regular estate, doesn't go to the estate. It's like a temporary. It says he's only got the rights of using it, and then it's supposed to go to Yankel. Right? And what happened to the Arterishan? The first guy that he gave it to, before it went to Yankel, took it. Umachar, he sold it. He sold it off. It wasn't there anymore. Or Achalar, he ate it up. He consumed it. Hasheni Motz Mi'al Rebbe. Rebbe says, no, he's not allowed to do that. He only had temporary usage rights. He didn't own it, and he can't sell it or use it up. And therefore, Yankel could go take it away from the person that it was given to originally, sold it to. Shmuel says, no, Ein L'Sheni Elamash Shaya Rishon. That's it. Even though he said, the original man on his deathbed said, I'm giving it to you, and after you die, it should go to this guy. But if the first guy that he gave it to before it went to Yankel sold it off, too bad. That's also a Rosh Hashanah because it works, but he didn't fulfill what he was supposed to do. Shmuel says because he did give it to this guy. This guy had ownership rights, and if he saw, yes, he was supposed to give it to Yankel after he died, but if he sold it off, nothing you could do about it. All these are cases of Rosh Hashanah. Rabbi Yosef Bar Chama Amar Sheishes Machriya Acher Mechosav. A person who induces others to follow me, I know what I'm doing, right? Do like I say. Rashi says a few lines from the bottom page. He wants to make himself like a chassid. He's not, his inside isn't like his outside, meaning what he says on the outside, follow me, I know what I'm doing. He just wants to make himself a chassid, but he's not. They don't want him to check. He says, oh yeah, I'm like makes himself like a tzaddik when he's not. All these are cases of Rosh Hashanah. A person who's machmir for other people, you know how to do this, you know how to do that. For himself, he's makel. That's also Rosh Hashanah. Ulamar zeh shakara v'shana. A person who learned Chumash and Mishnah, but he didn't serve as Talmud Chacham. Meaning, Rashi explains he didn't learn Gemara. He didn't learn Torah Shabbal Peh. He learned Mishnah, but without learning the Gemara. As far as the Gemara, Rashi goes on. Rashi has all the reasons here. Tami Mishnah Mahem. What are the reasons behind everything? That's a Rosh Hashanah. He'll never, his Torah is never going to be clear. He's an Arum who Shashameas Kola, a person listening to he says he's learning Mishnah, he seems to know what's going on. Sabu Shubaki, but he thinks he's a Baki, even though but he's not. That's a Rosh Hashanah. He makes himself like a Talmud Chacham when he's really not. And the Gemara goes on to express this, and we didn't get yet to the last couple of cases in the Mishnah, where he says that Isha Prusha, Makas Prusha, Re'el Mi'olam, that Mitzvah will finish tomorrow. Bezrat Hashem. Have a good day, everybody. Kol Tu.